Audemus Dicere.
Lesson 1. Why Latin? Latin is the mother tongue of Holy Mother Church, especially in the context of the Roman Rite liturgy. All the official texts of the Church are written in it: the Bible, the liturgy, prayers, declarations, and the works of the early Christian writers of the West, who defended and often died for the faith. But why Latin? First, the reason is historical. The Roman Empire was a great might at the time of Christ, and its practices, culture, and language had great influences on the regions it conquered. The great apostle Peter settled, taught, and was martyred in the imperial city of Rome. Upon the blood he shed on Vatican Hill, the Church was founded. Our dear Pope is his successor, an unbroken lineage of 2,000 years.
Omnipotenseus sua vos clemencia benedicat, et sensu in bovi sapientia salutaris infundat.
Second, Latin is timeless. Just like the traditional Latin Mass is the Mass of ages, the Latin language employed within it and by the Church continuously is a timeless treasure. It's the language in which saints like Padre Pio said Mass, in which both Augustine and Faustina prayed, the words holy monks transcribed in illuminated manuscripts, the words that coronated popes, like St. Pius X, the language and faith brought to far corners of the world by Francis Xavier, the texts of St. Thomas Aquinas that shaped the faith, and the chants composed and sung by St. Hildegard. Some say Latin is dead. Although there are people who can speak Latin in conversation, such as Pope Benedict, it is generally not used on a daily basis by a large population. Languages develop over time. New words come about, slang, pronunciations, dialects, connotations, and even new meanings of words. Take the word cool. It doesn't simply mean chilled or cold anymore. The Latin language is static. It's firm. In this sense, we speak more or less in the same manner that the saints did. Not only is the liturgy codified in the Roman Missal, but the Latin language, as its vehicle, remains constant as well. Our priests pronounce the words that the saints did. Lost in translation, the Latin translation of many texts and even the Latin translation of the Bible remains a reference point for our understanding of the words of Christ and the saints. As these works were translated into the vernacular and subsequently modified as languages developed, many words and meanings were lost in translation. We need Latin to serve as a static basis. When the Gospels speak of love, what kind of love do they mean? You have to first look to the Latin, and even to the Koine Greek and other ancient languages, to gain an understanding of what reading of the word love is meant at that moment in the Gospel. Sacrificial love, charity, brotherly love, or even sensual love. Catholic means universal. The universal church, the Catholic Church. No matter what distant corner of the world, no matter how far missionaries and saints, like Francis Xavier or Francis Cabrini, ended up, the Mass was the Mass. You could be a Pole from the free city of Krakow, travel thousands of miles to Chicago with your pocket missal, and in a log house church still be able to readily follow along and feel at home in the arms of Mother Church. Of course, you might not understand the homily, but that would be beside the point. You would actively participate in the holy sacrifice of the Mass anywhere, anytime in the world. Latin has been deemed worthy by the saints and the Church. As the mother tongue, it has a dignity unparalleled to other languages. Its classical, historical, ancient usage by great philosophers, empires, and thus importance for modern Western civilization adds to this character. Every faith has a sacred manner of speaking, a sacred language. For Catholicism, it's ecclesiastical or liturgical Latin. We can also look to the Eastern Catholic churches, who also employ sacred languages, such as Church Slavonic or Greek. Our Greek Orthodox brothers and sisters do so as well, not modern daily Greek, but a sacred Greek. We can look to the Jewish faith and see the centrality of the ancient and sacred use of Hebrew in their worship. Latin is a language. It's not used so you don't understand the Mass, to perplex you. As any language, it's meant to convey a message. In the case of the liturgy, it's a message of holiness, a message underlining the importance of Mass, a sign of God's presence, a veil between us and the transcendent, a courageous way for us to speak to God in His heavenly court despite our unworthiness. The static nature of Latin prevents ad-libbing of the words of the Mass, as well as prevents banal or casual discourse in the Holy of Holies. Knowledge of Latin is not a prerequisite for attending the Latin Mass. Few faithful have an understanding profound enough to follow every word without the translations. While the words the priest prays are important to know, our preparation to receive Christ worthily, our thanksgiving, adoration, reparation, and petitions in the presence of Christ comprise our important role. The Mass is intended to worship God and not a glorification of us. The orientation ad orientem worships and petitions God. The priest also turns to us, for example in the homily, and speaks in our local tongue. He also turns to us in other moments of the Mass when it is appropriate. This series will focus primarily on the words the faithful say and sing in the traditional Latin Mass and other liturgical contexts, to be able to more consciously participate in the Mass. However, according to Bishop Athanasius Schneider, even silence is a form of active participation. Learning Latin can help us dive in deeper into the profound Mass of ages, and can open doors to new forms of prayer and a greater understanding of the faith.